ready to embark on a transformative journey? Hi, I am Sharon Kumara, host of Awakened Soul. By tuning into Awakened Soul Radio, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. Each episode, I share stories and lessons learned that help cultivate greater compassion, patience, and understanding, qualities to embody in everyday life. I invite you to join in as we expand our awareness, exploring diverse topics, and gain access to practical tools, guided exercises, and expert advice to help overcome fears and break the chains that bind us. Join us on Awakened Soul. Your journey to freedom and true self begins here. All right. Hello, everyone. So today I'm doing something different, and I am going to be presenting an out-of-body experiences presentation, a little talk. I have a presentation here. Unfortunately, my guest couldn't make it today, but we'll get him on soon. And this has really been popular with me and my circles with out-of-body experiences and sharing my journey on how they can actually really transform your life, because I'm a conscious traveler. So let's get started. All right, so your presenter. Welcome to Awakened Soul Radio, by the way. I am your presenter and your host, Sharon Sananda Kumara. And what gives me a little bit of street cred in out-of-body experiences is that I did begin my spiritual journey in late 1998 after my stepfather passed. I started experiencing spontaneous sleep paralysis episodes, and I'll explain a little bit more about sleep paralysis in the presentation. After he passed, it just started happening, and I didn't understand them. I didn't know what they were, and they frightened me terribly. And if you don't know what sleep paralysis is, and you've ever had sleep paralysis, then you can understand why that would be frightening. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. I began studying and then inducing conscious out of bodies in 1999 after I understood what sleep paralysis was all about. And I had a near-death experience in 2001 as well. My NDE brought lifetimes worth of healing, leading to my first dark night of the soul, an intense Kundalini awakening, described as a quickening by my guides. My career transitioned from accounting to healing facilitation in 2004 after my NDE and after my spiritual journeys, my spiritual growth and progress. So I went from the corporate world into the healing world, and which led to what I do now. Currently run a successful full-time practice as an intuitive counselor, psychic medium, and hypnotherapist. And I also teach classes, facilitate various classes at the Kumara Academy of Transformation. A little bit about me. So my background regarding out of bodies, I've chronicled well over 2,000 conscious OBEs and lucid dreams since 1999. I actually quit counting at 2,000 a couple years ago, a little bit longer than that. I've also had two near-death experiences, one when I was 9 and one in 2001. So I guess I'm trying really hard to get off this planet somehow, some way, but now I understand I'm here for a reason. We're all here for a reason. The topic introduction, we'll be talking about the out-of-body experience, aka astral projection, OBE or OOBE, what it is, and this is all in my humble opinion from my own experience and what I've learned and continue to learn from and with throughout my life, okay, since then. The why would we want to do this, when we can get good results, and what a best place to induce out-of-body experiences, that type of thing, and how, and I'll share how and what works for me. There's all kinds of methods. I will share what works best for me and other methods as well that might work for you. Okay. Also, I will say that it's the info presented is theoretical, gathered from my own personal experiences and opinions, as well as from varied researchers and out-of-body experiences. Please take what resonates and leave the rest, as always. Okay. Terminology, I tried to say that we will be discussing is the out-of-body experience, astral travel, lucid dreams, near-death experience, sleep paralysis, hypnagogic and hypnopompic states, aka twilight or liminal state, my favorite state of all time, dimensions, realms, astral planes, and densities. So, what is an out-of-body experience? The common definition is the sensation of being outside one's own physical body or disengaged from the physical senses, and typically a feeling of floating and being able to observe the physical body from a distance. My belief is that our focus is actually moving inward rather than outward, because I've learned over the years there really is no out here. We're projecting this world from within us. We project the world around us, our personal world, the outer world. And so, what we're actually, in my opinion and my feeling, we're actually moving inward, moving in to our soul, our multi-dimensional soul, which is pretty awesome. Okay. Out-of-body experiences are a natural occurrence. We all have them when we're in the sleep state, when we're napping. We can even have them in meditation as long as we're disconnected. You have to be super, super relaxed and disconnected, pretty much disconnected from your physical senses. We used to have them all the time as children. You may remember flying dreams, things like that, and going and exploring around the neighborhood. Those are out-of-body experiences. Our consciousness is off doing lots while we're sleeping. We travel out of body every time we sleep. During sleep, our consciousness disengages from our physical senses while our body rests and recharges. Our larger consciousness is not bound by earth, it is eternal, thus it doesn't require rest like our physical bodies. The more we align our earthly awareness with our larger consciousness, the deeper inward we can journey. That's important. The more we become aware of our multidimensional self, our soul, how truly immense and powerful we are, the deeper inward we can journey. And the more expanded our awareness of our consciousness becomes. As children, it's natural to have out-of-body experiences and be aware of them. However, as adults in modern society, we're often taught to dismiss our dream experiences as not being real. As a result, we tend to shift our focus to the tangible outer world, gradually losing touch with our multidimensional and infinite inner world. Right? Makes sense to me. Okay. So, what is astral projection? The method in which an individual can separate their consciousness from their physical senses, also referred to as OBE or out of body experience. There's no difference. It's the same thing. Out of body just is the terminology that we think we are leaving our body. Astral projection is projecting our consciousness into the astral realm. So it's basically the same thing, just two different terms. Okay. What is a lucid dream? A lucid dream occurs when the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming, allowing them to manipulate the dreamscape. So lucid dreams are pretty common with people rather than an out-of-body experience or a conscious classic out-of-body experience. When you're dreaming and you wake up in your dream and you realize this is a dream. You know, we tend to, in our dreams, we tend to just take anything that's weird in our dreams as normal, and we just go along with our dreams like a zombie kind of thing. So normally when you wake up in the dream is when you see something unusual that doesn't make a lot of sense, and you're like, oh, I'm dreaming. So that's a good way for you to be able to control your dream or to turn your dream into an out-of-body experience or an astral projection. What is the difference between an OBE and a lucid dream? When we sleep, there are basically 4 out-of-body states, depending on whether you're one conscious or unconscious, and whether you're hallucinating or not. The 4 out-of-body states are In a normal dream, we're both unconscious and hallucinating. We're out of body, is disengaged from our physical senses, but our personality is still close to our physical body, completely engaged in the dream hallucination, which is that's subjective in a normal dream, subjective reality. In a lucid dream, we're still hallucinating, but now we're completely conscious that we're in a dream reality. We're still subjective, we're still in a subjective state because we're in the dream state. We're creating the reality. In an out of body experience, we're also conscious, but not hallucinating. We are experiencing an objective reality, a belief, thought, system, reality, just like our world here is a belief, thought, system, reality. We've all agreed to what's going on within our world in the out of body state. So it's objective reality. In the out of body state, there's an agreement in whatever awareness we're in, the reality we're in, that this is objective. More than the reality is being created by more than just our psyche. Okay. The fourth state is shared dream or OBE, unconscious experiences that happen an objective astral reality, not a hallucination. When you can be sharing an experience in the higher planes with someone else and you can verify it with someone else, which is a really cool state as well. Okay. What is a near-death experience? Normally, a profound experience taking place on the brink of death or at death and recounted by a person after recovery. Typically, an out-of-body experience with the vision of a tunnel of light, light beings, etc. That's the difference between that and an out-of-body. NDEs are out-of-bodies that normally involve physical trauma and have caused the physical body to completely disengage from its physical senses. Consciously induced OBEs do not normally involve physical trauma. So the out-of-body state, the conscious out-of-body state that you can control is preferred over the NDE, I would think. Why I began to consciously induce OBEs. This is my stepdad. In 1998, I started experiencing spontaneous episodes of sleep paralysis soon after my stepdad passed. And as I began studying about the afterlife, I then read that out of bodies were a way to tangibly connect with my stepdad. I needed to know what happens when we die. Being raised Catholic, I didn't resonate with the judgmental way of looking at what happens when we die and in our life. That it's either heaven or hell. I needed to know where my dad was. It's the first time I had lost anyone very, very close to me. And so I started reading books about the afterlife. And then I started having sleep paralysis, episodes of sleep paralysis, which, like I said before, really scared me. I thought I was going to die. Sleep paralysis is a normal bodily function and nothing to be afraid of. During sleep, our physical body enters a state of sleep paralysis to prevent it from physically acting out our journeys in the dream time state. Awareness is crucial. Not knowing what sleep paralysis is can be frightening and lead to a range of dream images, influenced by your state of mind. In other words, we often create our experience. So I was thinking that there was someone sitting on my chest because I couldn't catch my breath during this paralysis state. I was paralyzed. I couldn't scream out. I felt a presence in the room. I felt it felt like somebody was sitting on the bed. I was thinking ghosts were in my room, or just all kinds of scary thoughts. I thought I was dying. And there's all kinds of horrible information about sleep paralysis out there that's really sad. It's a normal state. Sleep paralysis is a normal state that we move into between waking up and falling asleep and between uh, coming out of sleep as well. In a study data there was collected from 752 sleep paralysis experiences in correlation to out of bodies. This is what they experienced. An intruder. They felt there was an intruder, sensed presence, fear, auditory and visual hallucinations. That's what I was doing. Incubus, pressure on chest, breathing difficulties, pain. Uh, yeah, novice and unaware. These are people who don't know what the sleep paralysis state is all about. It's for a novice and unaware. I was dealing with that. Unusual bodily experiences. These may include flying, floating sensations, mild vibrations, out of body experiences, and feelings of bliss experienced aware people. All of this starts to go away. All of the intruder feelings, the thoughts that your ego is trying to protect you from, thinks that the ego doesn't, well, is always afraid of something it doesn't understand and will give us scary images. So once we become aware of it, then we can control the sensations. That's what happened to me. And I started using the sleep paralysis state for out of body experiences. The widespread opinion among experienced projectors is that during a sleep paralysis episode, the quote unquote intruder felt or seen in the experiencer's room is actually the astral body of the experiencer. I figured that out not long after I understood what sleep paralysis was. The experiencer has awakened before the astral body has fully integrated with the physical body. If you relax, you can use the sleep paralysis state to transition into an out of body experience. Once I understood what sleep paralysis actually was, I was able to use that state to project. It's a game changer. Fear will keep us from doing really amazing things. It is a game changer once you understand what sleep paralysis is all about. And it's scary when you don't know, or even when you're going through it and you do know, you just have to remember to stay calm. What I found with sleep paralysis, I seem to only wake up during the sleep paralysis state while I'm laying on my back. Something about being on your back. I don't know that yet. I can still have an out of body while sleeping on my side, but I don't recall the conscious out of body separation as much as when I'm on my back. On my side, I simply become aware that I am out of body, or I enter into a lucid dream and turn into a conscious OBE or stay with the dream reality, but am conscious of the dream. So there's something about being on your back that's it's easier to have to engage in the sleep paralysis state or force the sleep paralysis state. If that's the right word, not sure. Okay. Benefits of out of bodies. Connect with crossed over loved ones. I've done this. I did find my dad. I found my mom after she passed. I found my bio dad, my grandparents, and I started working with people to look for their loved ones on the other side in my out of body experiences. I also joined a group where we would look for missing children and psychics, and I used out of body experiences to bring back the information that I was getting. Many, many moons ago, we did that. Um, we can also alleviate the fear of death and remember how to die because we know that we don't die, and that's a big deal. Overcome physical disabilities while out of body. If someone has a disability that they can't walk, they're in a wheelchair or can't see or anything like that, go out of body, you don't have that disability. It's amazing. Increase psychic abilities. Yes, totally. Because moving into the inner world and the higher part of ourself, and we're bringing that awareness back with us. So it opens up our pathways. Access parallel past and future lifetimes. Time travel. Travel to anywhere in the world and other planets and solar systems. I've done all of this. Well, I didn't have the disability, but I've done all of this. Meet alien beings. Meet and interact with guides, teachers, and angels. Become more spiritually aware, expanded consciousness, and shapeshift. That's just some. Oh, here's another one. Meet and interact with crossed over celebrities and gurus. That's fun because there's no celebrity, there's no famous people on the other side. Everyone's basically the same. Remember your true nature and current life mission. Access the Hall of Records and other higher plane halls and temples. Locate and possibly heal any health issues for yourself and others. That's a big deal. You can do that from the out of body state, from the inner planes, for your body, your own body, for your loved ones, for others. Help deceased people move on. Fly and breathe underwater. Spirit rescue. Yes, this is spirit rescue right here. Help deceased people move on. I've done that many times in the out of body state. I do this in the physical state as well, but in the out of body state, I'm just drawn to people and I'm projected there and help people that have not been able to find their way home. Fly and breathe underwater. It took me a little while to be able to remember that I don't need to breathe underwater because I would project underwater and I'm like, oh no, I need to breathe. And I shoot up real quickly and then realize, oh, okay, it took me a little while. I don't need to breathe. I can breathe underwater. I don't need to breathe, but I would tell myself I can breathe underwater. Consciously communicate with higher self, God, source. Astral sex, merging with an astral lover or your physical partner in the astral plane, which is amazing. Okay. Hypnagogic state, also known as twilight and liminal state. Hypnagogia is the experience of a transitional state from wakefulness to sleep, the hypnagogic state of consciousness during the onset of sleep. So when you're falling asleep and you might see images, things like that, colors, swirling energy around, just as you're transitioning, that is the hypnagogic or the liminal state or twilight state. Hypnopompic is when you're waking up. The state of consciousness leading out of sleep is its mirror is the hypnagogic, and this is a really good state for me. I reality shift in this state quite often, where I'm not quite here yet, but as I'm in this state, I find myself somewhere else in another reality. Sometimes I'm not even me. Okay. Yes, using the hypnagogic state for OBEs. You can use this state to leave your body. You can prolong this state with practice. And that is really, I highly recommend doing that. If you focus on the imagery behind your closed eyes, you can disengage from your physical senses and insert your astral energy body into the scene that you are viewing. If you see a scene, use that as a springboard and just focus, imagine yourself in that scene. That's fun. The vibrational state. The vibrational state generally occurs simultaneously with sleep paralysis. And you might feel vibrations. They may be strong, they may be mild, but it's if you practice for out-of-body experiences, I can almost guarantee you're going to start feeling the vibrational state some way, somehow. But don't be afraid of it. Once you work with it, it starts to get a lot softer and it feels good after a while. And you're like, oh, yes, okay. All right, now I know I can project. Many spontaneous out of bodies start with the feeling of shaking or vibrating. They can be pretty jarring in the beginning once you start your practice. Most experienced projectors deliberately induce this state. Once you have achieved the vibrational state, you can learn to control it and use it to achieve a conscious out of body experience. So, why would we induce the vibrational state? We are vibrational beings. Our physical body vibrates at a slower vibration than our astral body, or second body, I like to call it. Raising our vibration through energy exercises will assist the astral body to phase, quote unquote, phase out from the physical body. Once the vibrational state is controlled, it normally becomes a very pleasant and welcomed state, as I was saying. So what we're doing is phasing out, okay? Common sensations associated with the onset of the OBE. So here's quite a few. I'll just go through some of them. Tingling, buzzing, vibrations, chills, heat, trembling, shaking, throbbing, spinning, weightlessness. I think I've experienced pretty much all these. squeezing, heaviness, rocking, spinning, rapid heartbeat. Does feel like your heart's beating. Visual whirling colors, light flashes, imagery, tunnels. I've gone through so many tunnels and portals, I can't even count them. Geometric shapes, mosaics, points of light, stars, tunnel vision. In auditory or engine-like sounds, you might hear some loud sounds as you're shifting or phasing into another frequency. Squeaking, screeching, tapping, humming, metallic sounds, buzzing, roaring, bells, voices, static, and wind blowing, ringing tones and music. And did voices come up in here? Because I hear voices a lot too. Voices too. Yes, voices right there. It's like you're hearing a radio station that's just out of, it's kind of staticky, but just out of tune sometimes. Okay, non-physical dimensions. All what we call non-physical dimensions are levels of existence vibrating at a higher frequency than the known physical universe. This makes them invisible and undetectable to the normal five senses and to all scientific means available today. Okay. And a ceiling fan analogy, I like this because let's just say our reality here is like the ceiling fan, not spinning. I mean, we're spinning, everything's spinning, but where we can see the blades, and then as it moves faster and faster, the blades, we don't see the blades anymore. The higher the faster the speed, the less we are able to see what we would call the physical blades. Okay, real-time zone, RTZ. The non-physical dimensional level closest to the physical universe is the real-time zone. It's a normal dimensional level that most projectors find themselves in when they first begin projecting. This is what you'll see when you project and you'll be in your house or something like that. And your house might look a little bit different, but it's still your house. You recognize it as your house. That's how I started out, projecting in my house and moving around my house and then moving further out. The RTZ can be best thought of as a buffer zone or intermediary area dividing the physical universe from the astral dimension proper. It shares some properties of the physical universe, a direct and objective real-time reflection of reality, and some properties of the astral dimension, a fluid, non-physical environment. This is from Robert Bruce, Astral Dynamics. My belief is this is where ghosts and unconscious dreamers hang out in this real-time zone normally. Okay. The closest dimension to the earth plane, our physical plane. The astral plane is the next closest of the unseen dimensions to the physical universe. The astral plane spans the universe, but for all intents and purposes, totally non-spatial. Another way of describing this, the astral plane contains an enduring energetic shadow generated and cast by the contents and inhabitants of physical dimensions. It's like an echo, and as the echo moves out inward further and further, it becomes less physical, but is very thought responsive. The astral planes are thought responsive. The higher, faster the frequency, the more thought responsive the dimension or plane. Our physical dimension is thought responsive. It just takes longer for our thoughts to create or manifest. Okay. Personal experiences with objective evidence. Yeah, I found some of these that I thought would be kind of cool. This is from my journal, March 9th, 2002. In my second OBE, I found myself in a very large place with people sitting at tables like a restaurant. It was a beautiful, fancy place. I remember to ask out loud, "Where am I?" I looked up at the ceiling that looked like a blue sky and saw words forming across the ceiling. They slowly spelled out Ohio Dome. At that instant, the ceiling morphed into a sea of blue water. I don't know anything about the Ohio Dome, didn't then, still don't, but I looked up Ohio Dome afterwards. And Ohio is famous for the ASM geodesic dome, which has water cascading down its sides. The building is 3 stories and includes a dining room. I had not heard of the Ohio Dome or remembered seeing anything about it on TV, but there it is. Why I was there, I can't say for sure, except for maybe proving to me that this is real kind of thing. Because I project, and you'll find yourself projecting to the strangest places, and it takes a while for you to understand why you were there, and you may never understand. Okay, so this is another one of proof question mark. Depends on who you are. So my journal entry from 2004, August 7th, I stated my intention to visit my friend Susan. We were on an astral travel group together and we wanted to meet together. I exited and went out through my bedroom wall and immediately began flying. I landed in a house with 2 small children. The children saw me flying through their house and followed me outside through the wall. After some conversation, I decided to leave and shot up into the sky. I saw a plane flying over my head. I tried to catch up to it because I wanted to get inside. So, confirmation, question mark, note. This is from my journal. The next day, Susan asked her children if they remembered their dreams, and her daughter told her that she remembered puffy clouds, an airplane, and a blonde woman who looked like her mommy. That was proof enough for me. Okay, here's a journal entry of a spirit rescue. I exited into an area with building rubble around me. Found myself in the driver's seat of a large RV. There was an elderly woman sitting in the passenger seat. She seemed disoriented. I asked her name, and she replied, Estelle Murphy. I remembered that very well. I instinctively told her that we could drive out of there. I sensed that she was very frightened. I told her not to worry, that I was there to help her. I floored the gas pedal on the RV and drove through the rubble. We eventually came out on a clear road. I continued driving to a safe, clear spot. Confirmation, question mark. Murphy, Estelle. I looked her up because I like to see why I'm showing these things. Murphy, Estelle J. was born August 4th, 1914. Death master file. Died July 27th, 2002. Cook County, Pennsylvania. The OBE was on 7/28, July 28th. The only uh, the only connection I can think of is that my mother was from Pennsylvania. I had relatives living in Pennsylvania at that time. I don't know why I would go to her, but I did. And hopefully I helped her in some way. Here's another spirit rescue. An out of body to Rhode Island club fire. Went out of body this morning with the intention of going to the nightclub in Rhode Island that burned down. I first found myself at a house where a man and I began talking. In the out of body state, I knew him as my neighbor. His name was Tony. He had medium length black hair, black mustache, and looked Italian or Latino. I knew that he had a wife named Karen. He led me to another house. We went inside. There was another couple's house. We sat and played cards for a little while. I told them I had to go to the Rhode Island club that burned down, see if there were any people there that might need help crossing over. I was on a spiritual conversation board at that time, and there was a gentleman on the board after I shared that experience who lives in Rhode Island, his Joe. When you mentioned you're out of body with Tony, a light went on. I happen to have friends named Karen and Tony who live not far from the fire. Tony is a middle-aged guy, Italian background with a large black mustache, and what sounds very familiar is the part about cards. The 4 of us used to play cards quite often. I didn't know who Joe was. He hadn't even contributed on the forum before that. And that was a shocker. The out of body to Rhode Island led to Joe and I recalling similar experience from a shared past life during the Civil War. So this was apparently our way of finding each other. We recalled being brother and sister in that life. It was a tragic life. We both died as young adults. We both remembered our names and that we both died of yellow or scarlet fever. I did have to do a soul retrieval on Prudence, who was me in that lifetime. It took three out of body attempts to be able to get her to move across. I write about all of that and others in my book. Okay, so here's some more another spirit rescue sort of thing. Helping mom cross over. When my mom passed, um, the night she passed, I didn't know she had died. She was in the hospital, and we were bringing her home on hospice the next day. I went to bed. I went home from the hospital, went to bed, and was projected into an out of body very quickly. I find myself at a park, and I see my mom sitting on a park bench just like this, and she's looking like that, sort of looking off, and looked sad. And I go over and sit with her, and I say, "Mom, are you all right?" And she says, "Sherry," she called me Sherry. "I died last night." And I said, "I know," and I didn't know because she was still alive when I left the hospital. And we talked a little bit. She said, "I'm really confused. I don't know where I am." And we talked a little bit, and then our limousine pulls up, a black limousine, and it pulled up in front of us. And my stepdad got out of the limousine because he was already gone. This was 2003 when this happened. Stepped out of the limousine with a dozen roses and came up to mom and gave her the roses. And he stood up with him and walked over to the limousine and took her off with him. So I was able to be there with her in the park, which Robert Monroe from the Monroe Institute talks about the park, where people come sometimes when it's like a way station when they've passed. So after that, the phone rings a couple hours later, and it's the hospital saying that my mom had passed. Okay, my bio dad, I helped him in some way. He he was an atheist. He didn't believe in God, anything. He believed when you're dead, you're dead. He used to say we're worm food. He thought that psychics were scam artists and all that. We used to have these conversations. And I told him I'll have the last laugh when I'm on the other side, when we meet on the other side. So my sister and I were with him that night, and he passed that night. I had an out of body experience, dreamlike out of body experience, where I went to him in his bed and he was sleeping, and I knew that he had died. And I told him, "Dad, wake up, wake up." Actually, it was my sister and I that were there with him. She was there too. "Wake up, wake up." And we had to wake him up in order to let him know that he had left his physical body. We did finally wake him up, but who knows if how long he'd been there, would have been there sleeping, thinking that we don't live on after we die. Okay, my first encounter with angels was when not long in the beginning of my practice, my mother was still alive, and my dad was showing me the ropes with my out of body travel. And I projected into my mother's front yard, and I heard this angelic singing. And I looked up and I saw what I thought were geese flying in the sky in a V formation. And I could use my vision to look closer, and they were angels flying across the sky in a V formation and singing angelic music for me. And I got the really clear impression that my dad sent them for me. That was early on in my travels. So that was really cool. Have had encounters with angels since then, quite a few. Okay, let's go over fears associated with the out-of-body state. Fear of dying or not being able to reintegrate in the body. Um, you know, if you die when you're out of body, that's probably a good way to go. Then it must be our time. It's a fear. Fear of dying is it's something a lot of people have, and I'm hoping that moving into the out of body state or understanding that we don't will help us understand that we don't die. So that's one main reason why I think this is such an amazing practice. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can really do about that. If you die, it's your time. I'm more afraid of being on the physical realm than in the astral realm because nothing can hurt you in the astral realm because you don't have a physical body. Fear of getting lost. There's no way you can get lost. You know exactly where your body is. You have guidance and guardian angels and loved ones that are always there with you. You're not alone. You can't ever get lost. Fear of body possession. I've never experienced anything like that or heard of anything like that happening. I believe it's a myth because we are connected to our physical body through our silver cord, our consciousness. We don't take all of our consciousness with us. We still have consciousness within our physical body when we are in the out of body state. And we're doing it anyway. Why not do it consciously? Fear of the unknown. Well, yeah, I understand that, but it becomes a known when you practice it, and then that you're walking through that fear. Fear of what others might think. Um, yeah, don't know how to beat that one except just as long as you practice it and know that nothing can hurt you. And this is kind of a religious thing, I believe, that there's a religious mm, thought, a program that mm, astral travel is something that we shouldn't be doing because it's dangerous. And I don't, and nothing can be further from the truth, really. I believe that this program is meant to help us, or I'm sorry, hurt us, really, to make us stay in this realm, our consciousness, not so we don't become remember who we are as spiritual people, spiritual beings, more than our physical body. We're so much more than our physical body. And I believe that this program, it's been around for a very long time. Okay. Fear of negative entities. Let me see, where am I? 10 minutes. Okay. Fear is based on religious dogma. Yeah, what I just talked about. Fear of negative entities. I've never come across negative entities. I've had a couple of times when my fears showed up as what I saw as entities that were ugly and yucky. And all you got to do is think about your body and you're back in your body. Okay. Education is the key. Learn from experienced travelers. Work through your fears in the waking state. Know that the astral plane is thought responsive. Therefore, your thoughts can quickly change any negative experience. Just think of your physical body and you are back. Face your fears while in the out of body state and also in the in body state. Say affirmations. Experience is the best teacher. Okay. The silver cord. I've never seen it, but a lot of people have that are travelers have seen the silver cord. I never cared about it. I just knew I was fine. Okay. The first time my first epiphany, when I saw my physical body, I was moving out away and I turned around and saw my physical body on the bed. And I thought, who is that? What is that? And I realized it was my body. And I felt no connection to it or attachment, I should say. I knew that this astral being or this light being here was me. My physical body was just a vehicle. OBE senses, we have lots of amazing senses. Okay, all of these. These are some personal experiences I've had reuniting with family members who have passed, shape shifting, experiencing incredible sounds, heavenly music, angelic, regular conversations with higher guides. Experience myself as energy form, light, and non-human type beings, astral lovemaking, um, incredible orgasmic blissful states, merging, regularly project onboard spaceships and other planets, regular trips to water, ocean as an aquatic being. Some people say, isn't this an escape? No, I believe it's diving into your soul and knowing yourself better, more, knowing yourself, know thyself. Diet and spiritual practice, I believe that diet does affect your practice. I try not to, if I'm going to project on purpose, I try not to eat, late in the day. Heavy foods keep our energy and consciousness in our body. Focus is crucial. Memory is crucial. Daily meditation just does help tremendously. Okay. Memory is crucial. Journal, journal, journal. How I achieve the OBE state, you can too. Education and entrainment. Study anything you can get your hands on. Educate, retrain your mind. Journal your dreams and OBE practices. Very important to keep a journal. Intention and daily meditation helps with focus. Focus is key. Make it important. This is my new project. Think about it throughout your day. Um, Hang out with people who want to do it with you. Join a group. Take a course. I teach courses. Take other courses. Read books. Lucid dreams can turn into conscious out of bodies. Support groups. Have a practice buddy. I also hold a monthly full moon journal. I'm sorry, journey during the full moon, out of body journey. Ask your guides for help. Listen to binaural beats and or hemisync on a regular basis. This is extremely helpful. Listening to hemisync or binaural beats helps bring the whole brain synchronization in. Indirect methods, sleep interruption method, my favorite method. Sleep for between 4 and 6 hours. Wake up, stay awake for between 5 to 30 minutes, and then go back to bed. Actually, in another area where you don't fall asleep is probably better, because away from your bedroom, because you're programmed to fall asleep in your bed, and then do your practice. And I guarantee you, you will have an experience. I project 80% of the time when I use that method, or else or have a lucid dream. Okay, direct method is laying down at a time other than bedtime and completely relax your body. And with your conscious mind, enter the sleep paralysis state, body asleep, mind awake state, and then use that state to project. Sit up, roll over, jump up and down, imagine floating up. Okay, so here's some recommended studies for different methods and exercises. Highly recommend William Buhlman, astralinfo.org. It's got tons of stuff on there. Robert Peterson. These are the gurus that I used in the beginning to help me. Monroe Institute. Highly recommend the phase. Highly recommend. There's free. Robert Peterson's first book is free online. The phase is free online. And then use binaural beats and hemisync. Okay, so here's just a couple of books that have helped me tremendously. There's tons of them out there, but highly recommend these. And this quote, out-of-body experiences reside at the cutting edge of human exploration and evolution, individual journeys of consciousness to the very core of our spiritual essence. Only by letting go of all physical and mental limits are you free to experience the truth of your existence. I highly agree with that. William Buhlman. The Matrix. I've seen The Matrix in the physical state and the out-of-body state, both. It is real. So, do you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? See how deep the rabbit hole goes with the red pill. The blue pill, if you choose the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and you believe whatever you want to believe. I suggest the red pill. Okay, so that's about me. And there we go. I hope that was helpful for you. And if you want to have out-of-body experiences, feel free to contact me, and I will help in any way I can. There's lots of information out there on the out-of-body experience, and hopefully you can get your practice going. It does take focus. It does take commitment. I will say that. And I was very committed when I first started. I'm kind of that way when I want to do something. I become kind of obsessed with it, but I had a good reason because I wanted to find my dad. And I was determined, and I did find him. I did. It took a little while. And I will say also that it took me about 6 weeks of practice to be able to have my first classic out of body experience. I was having different altered state episodes, but the first classic out of body experience I had, where I was standing next to my bed actually, I wasn't looking at my body, but I was standing next to my bed. I don't remember my body being in the bed at that time. And it hit me. I did it. I'm out of body. And I got so excited, it brought me back into my physical body. So try not to get too excited when you do exit and you find yourself in the out of body state, and give it time. Don't ever give up if you're really committed and you want to do this, because I can tell you this, once you do achieve astral travel, uh, you're hooked. It is an amazing way to heal. My next book is about healing through out of body experiences. I do share quite a bit of my out of body travels and how my teachers helped me heal in my first book, Awakened Soul, my near death journey home through Christ's infinite love. And my next book that I'm working on now is dedicated to my out of body experience journey so far, and how it's helped me, and all the amazing journeys I've had, and how they've helped me become a better person and find out what we're really all about. There's so much you can do beyond our physical life, our physical journey here. And it's really amazing. So, oh, and I also wanted to say that it took me a couple months to find my dad. So that's another thing. If you're looking for someone like a loved one or something like that, don't get discouraged. I don't know why. Sometimes it takes a little while, but it took me a couple months, and I was reunited with my dad on the other side in an out of body experience. So it is possible. Definitely, you can do it. Also, animals. My dog used to travel with me all the time, which was fun. And I think that's it. I know it was a little quick, but we didn't have a lot of time, so I hope that you enjoyed that presentation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. I'm Sharon Kumara, and you have been listening to Awakened Soul Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. I invite you to embark on a transformative journey with us. Awakened Soul is a safe, sacred space for exploring the depths of our consciousness. Each episode, you will be inspired to shed the illusions that bind you, connect more deeply with your inner wisdom, and step into a liberating life of freedom, clarity, and purpose. To connect with me, visit kumaraacademy.com.